This is McCook's Mr. Bill. It's an honor to have you here. Except for 4 years that I spent in an orphanage, 60 years I've been in southwest Nebraska and around ranching and cattle. Absolutely. You bet. And so in that time period, I've seen and I've known an awful lot of cowboys. Very few of them wore that. Most of them just wore an old ball cap. But they was darn good cattlemen. They knew cattle, absolutely. More importantly, who was the best though? Who was the best of the cowboys here in southwest Nebraska? Well, honorable mention would have to be old Bischoff north of Hamlet. He was awful good with cattle and a horse, absolutely. Buffington up there by Hay Center, you bet. Down by Max, old Verl Reichert, he knew cattle and he knew horses. And of course, the second best that I ever knew would have to be up there at Enders, you bet. Old Tom Stinnett. Man, was he a cowboy, no question. But who would be the top bracket cowboy that I've known in my life? Without question, I would have to give that honor to Jim McConnell down there at Trenton, Nebraska. Why? Well, to be a cowboy, you got to be a little crazy. I said crazy. When he was a young man, deer were starting to populate the area. He got the wild hair that he wanted to rope one off his horse just to prove he could do it. You bet. And so he spotted a buck one day that was pretty close to the herd that he was moving, and he decided this is as good a time as any to try. Now that old horse could outrun a deer, no question, on a fast, short run, and off they went. That deer took off, and he put out his lariat and dropped that old rope right over that deer's antlers. A buck, 4-point buck, he said it was. And he said that deer hit the end of that rope, though, when he stopped the horse, and he said on a split second, that deer turned a 90-degree turn and come right back at him full speed. And he said he didn't have time to do anything but get his eyes great big and say, I think I made a mistake. And that deer hit the front of his horse and pumpkin rolled the horse, threw him off, and landed, and he laid there for a while saying, am I dead? And he said the only thing that saved his life and the horse's life was the rope came off the horn. And he said he and the rope went running away. That old deer took off. Yeah, thank God. Thank God. You got to be a little crazy to be a cowboy. But, more importantly, you got to know cattle. We went out there one day, he hollered at everybody and said that if he was available, come work for him. So we went out there, there was 8 of us that day, 8. And I'm here to tell you, them cattle were high-headed and ornery and just rambunctious and mean and couldn't control them. I'd never seen them much worse, any kind of cattle, than that day. And finally one of the guys got pumpkin rolled. We drug him out of there and he got his wind, no broken bones, luckily. And old Jim said, that's it. No more. No more. We're not going to risk anybody's life anymore today. And he said, any of you that want, come back in 1 week from today, we're going to try it again. Well, all of us was kind of glad to get away from there because somebody was going to get hurt. We really thought that was going to happen. And in a half a day, we hadn't even hardly got started working them. Hadn't even hardly got started. Well, the next week, very few of us could get out there. Just McConnell, his boy, and Bill Stanky. Just the 3 of them. That was it. Showed up that day. And you know, those cattle were like kittens. They just go here, go there, like a puppy dog, whatever. They just did whatever you want, when you want, because you wanted. Just so mellow. Those 3 worked all the cattle and got everything done and put away and the cattle back out in the pasture in a half a day because those cattle were in the mood. Old Bill Sankey said he never saw anything like it. And Bill Sankey agreed with me that I'd never seen, and he had never seen, a better cowboy and a smarter man working around livestock than Jim McConnell. So he's my top cowboy. Who's yours?